What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. I have no clue what that was. Today we are talking Raised by Wolves, the brand new Ridley Scott-led series on HBO Max. I was able to check out the first 6 episodes. Now, if you're curious how this is going to drop, apparently the first 3 episodes are dropping on Thursday, and then from there, 1 episode per week, I believe every Thursday. That's all I know, but I need you in the comments down below. Are you excited for this show? Are you excited for the first 6 episodes? No spoilers in this video. Let's get into it. So after Earth is rendered uninhabitable, 2 androids start a new settlement and family with human embryos on the planet Kepler 22b. 12 years later, only 1 child remains, and the arrival of an ark of surviving humans presents a threat that Mother has no choice but to confront. Actually, Ridley Scott is an executive producer. The creator of this show is Aaron Guzikowski, who is known a tiny bit for his screenwriting on specific movies, Prisoners in particular, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, but also one show. This is only his 2nd show he has ever executive produced, so the name of note is really Ridley Scott, bringing his flair from the obvious comparisons, and you're going to hear every critic talk about this. That is Alien, Blade Runner, taking things that make those movies and those universes work very well and kind of implementing it into this story, a story that a lot of people are familiar with. And I don't say that because we've seen this specific story before. I say that because it is taking those elements, tropes that you'll recognize, but it's presented in a new-ish, semi-spectacular way with a massive scale. The first comparison I want to make is a show called The 100 on the CW. That show is dealing with people leaving Earth, having to come back, Earth being inhabited by very different beings than what you're seeing in the show, but it had those vibes, obviously, with a bigger budget, with more familiar names like a Ridley Scott, and then giving us a battle here. A physical battle, many physical battles, yes, but really a mental battle between those on one side of quote-unquote religion and those on the other. Now, that will make some skeptical, and I understand that. And as a religious person myself, I walked into this going, man, I really hope it doesn't shoehorn elements in there that feel very in your face. But I didn't feel as if the show did that. I felt it was very fair and balanced, even though there is a somewhat clear villain, at least at the beginning of the story, or a clear side that you want to be on the other side of the fence of. But as we move and progress, we start to learn about these different characters, where they come from, kind of the build-up to this post-apocalyptic world, not necessarily our world, but world in general, and where the universe is at this point, and going back and showing us what exactly happened to build up to where we are right now is really cool, and we get a lot of that in the first 2 episodes specifically, and I really felt Ridley Scott all throughout, especially this first prologue-esque episode, just kind of spending time with Mother and Father, played by Amanda Collin and Abubakar Salim, who are just fascinating androids. Both characters, very different characters. And you're obviously going to approach this as, okay, they're both androids. What does this mean? Which side of the fence do they fall? And you learn fairly quickly who caused a lot of the damage to the human race and how everyone got in this predicament. But there are even deeper than that. There are so many dimensions to these characters, even though on the surface, and I will say this, they maybe are a bit flat when it comes to acting. But I just think that's because they are androids, not being able to portray and display that human emotion that makes it difficult to try to connect to those characters. But that's just kind of what they are, and we've seen that countless times. You could take Michael Fassbender in Prometheus, for example. That's just the kind of character that they're playing, so you can't necessarily fault the actors, but I do think a lot of people will struggle to connect, especially because the first episode specifically does move at a pace that will throw some off. But if you know who the producers are, Scott specifically, and you understand the kind of world that they're trying to build up, I say give it a bit of time, especially once you jump into episode 2, finally getting some concept idea of where we are in this world, some epic battle scenes, seeing who really did, at least having an idea of who caused this destruction in the first place. And that's really when things start to get set into motion. We bring other people into our camp. There is a clear divide between two sides. And again, you understand those on both sides, a bit of good and bad in both, especially those who, and this really is an ongoing theme throughout this show, just kind of care for the youth, the children, trying to keep them as safe as they possibly can, not trusting the other side because of what they believe that they believe, when really both, even the androids, are trying their best to do the right thing and keep their composure maintained, because one character specifically doesn't do it all that well. Mother is fascinating, also extremely scary, but fascinating because she really just wants to have a child of her own. Father is also fascinating. Father just wants to maintain his role and his purpose in this entire equation. We also get to spend a lot of time with these kids. The main child, played by Winta McGrath, who does an excellent job of just kind of being raised to believe one thing, and I think a lot of us can get behind this concept, and then slowly realizing that maybe things aren't what they seem, and constantly at least trying or attempting to do the right thing for those that are like him. And I found that there's just a lot of layers and themes to this story. Now, if you look at it from a certain perspective, well, yeah, it's just a really slow show about androids versus humans. Two different sides of the equation. Obviously, the battle spawned from religion in the first place, but in the midst of those slower moments, we get some really epic and grand action scenes. They do not hold back on the blood and the gore and those gross out moments. You don't want to look at the screen, but you just kind of have to. And I'm talking intense body horror, like precise and surgical moments that really make me cringe, but it was effective. Very wonderful use of practical effects along with the incredible CGI. I mean, the budget for the show, I'd like to know what it was, but it's incredible. It's one of the best looking sci-fi shows I've seen in quite a while. And again, I've only watched the first 6 episodes, slowly uncovering what this story is. The first 3 episodes, they will give you that, but I have a feeling you may not be all there until maybe episodes 4 or 5, but I really hope a lot of you get behind this show. If you're not a huge fan, I understand why. Again, it's not a pace that's going to work for everyone, but from what I've seen so far with Raised by Wolves, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. This is a new type of sci-fi, and I'm excited to see what the final few episodes hold. And it's not only the visual effects here, it's the costume design, which is remarkable. The score is fantastic. The first time that intro played, I was just blown away by the music. It just wraps everything up perfectly, and I love the feeling, audio, visual-wise, while watching this show. It's pretty spectacular. Now, I will say, I believe there are 10 episodes to this season. They only gave me access to the first 6. 6 did, I guess, slightly feel like a season finale, but I don't think that's it for this season. I've looked up details. I see 10 on IMDb, but I'm hearing 6 elsewhere, so I guess we'll just see how many episodes there are, but I was able to catch the first 6, finally get through all of it, and I will finish with this. I believe Raised by Wolves is an epic sci-fi show with grand and beautiful, sometimes slightly dark visuals, very existential type questions that you will be left with after almost every episode, characters that make decisions based on their gut feeling, even when they start out feeling the opposite at the beginning of the season, and that leads to some very interesting moments. We have interesting dialogue, discussions. I do believe there are slightly slow moments that will throw a lot of people off, and maybe you'll get to the point to where you don't want to finish it, but I encourage you and implore you to at least get through episode 6, which is where I am at right now, because I believe if you're a hardcore sci-fi fan and you enjoy something like the original Blade Runner, less of a horror type of show than Alien, but it definitely has that vibe, then I think you're going to enjoy Raised by Wolves. And thank you guys so much for watching this review. If you enjoy it and you'd like to see more, especially more HBO Max centric videos, be sure to smash that thumbs up button. As for my score, as of right now, a 75% for Raised by Wolves. I believe it is a really good, solid show with potential to get better in the future, absolutely. I do believe they could have hit a few plot points a bit harder, but overall, Ridley Scott really delivered, I believe, with this show, and the first really good original I've seen on HBO Max thus far. So thank you guys again for watching. Check out all of the videos coming to my channel this weekend, so many, Tenet specifically, and I'll see you soon.